What's up, everybody? Welcome to today's episode, our first episode, where we're going to be discussing how to grow an audience of 1,000 raving fans on Facebook without using paid ads. So if you've been struggling to grow your audience and you don't really have a budget to run paid ads, then this episode is for you. So we're going to talk about two different types of Facebook audiences that you can have. We're going to also give you 3 highly effective strategies for growing your Facebook audience organically. One of those is proactively growing your Facebook friends list by going out and sending friend requests. Number 2 is going to be growing your audiences by leveraging other people's audiences, and then leveraging Reels to attract followers to your Facebook profile. So if you stick around to the end, I'm also going to sneak in a little bonus strategy that I really haven't heard anybody else kind of talking about. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, bud, how you doing?
My name is Ron Medlin, and this is my co-host here. He's having some technical issues. Jeff, this is kind of timely for you because you're starting this journey, right? You're just now trying to start to grow your Facebook audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And new for me, so this is great timing to actually get me started doing basically getting my profile up to date and really just getting some followers and getting a real audience. So I'm excited about today's training for sure.
Yeah, so if you want to make money on Facebook, we really have 2 routes. We've got the paid approach, and then we have organic. So today is all about really strictly organic, growing your audience organically. So if you want to make money on Facebook organically, again, you have basically 2 routes. You've got the outbound approach, which is like the DM outreach, cold DM outreach. And then you've got a different approach, which is the inbound approach. And that's more like attracting your audience and clients to you using content. Okay. So which are you going to use? Are you going to be spamming a bunch of people and hoping that you get people to respond to you and the volume works out for you? Or are you going to take a different approach and actually create some great content, build some authority, know, like, and trust, and attract your audience for you? So I think you probably know which one I'm kind of leaning towards. Let's talk about the outbound approach for a second. So I think that pure cold DM outreach on Facebook is dead. And so the reason I think that is, first of all, Facebook started to implement a bunch of different restrictions. So if you're trying to book enough sales calls to grow your coaching business or your consulting business or course creation business with a single Facebook profile, then good luck, because I literally think that's impossible now. So I'm doing what I believe is 100% legitimate DM outreach, and I still get my profile restricted. So if you have any chance of doing cold DM outreach and you want to be successful at that, so you're either hiring a bunch of setters, they're using their own profiles, and then that's going to cost you some money. The other option is you buy a bunch of fake profiles, and you've all seen these. As typically a very attractive woman, and they're reaching out to you and they're starting some weird conversation. How's business going? Or I ask you a question. People can see that stuff from a mile away now. It used to work probably 2017. And a lot of people will probably fight me on this, and some people probably do make it work, but it sure as hell ain't the easiest route. I mean, if you're trying to do that now in 2024, it's going to be an uphill battle, and you're going to have hundreds of profiles, and you're going to have the perfect messaging, and there's just a better route. Plus, it just feels kind of slimy to me. Jeff, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I know for me, I want to be real. I want to be authentic. I want to build an audience that, knows me and who I am and knows my heart. And I don't think I'm going to get that by first starting an introduction with a fake profile or like something that's not me, right? So for me, I definitely would want to be authentic. I'd like to focus on, really serving first. And that's, I think from my perspective, but I mean, more important, how would you approach it? I mean, from being definitely the expert at this, like how would you approach, that
Yeah.
direct messaging
So
outreach and so forth?
Yeah, so if we agree with the fact that cold outreach is pretty much dead, I mean, like I said, there's probably some people that are really good at it and they're crushing it. But if you're a single coach and you're just getting started and you are trying to really grow your personal brand, cold DM outreach is not the way to go. You're going to turn a lot of people off. You're going to burn some bridges, and it's just not the way to grow a business. Okay. So I'll give you a little bit of background. You probably heard this before, but in 1971, there was this guy he was an American economist. His name was Herbert Simon, and he coined the phrase attention. We're in the attention economy. And he also coined the phrase attention is the new currency. And so you've heard Gary Vee kind of talk about this in the past, and he was way ahead of his time. But he believed that in an information rich world, which we most certainly are in now, that we are living in an age where there's just so much content out there that the attention of your audience, and we're all fighting for the same attention, is highly, highly valuable, right? And attention is going to become even more valuable now with AI, because AI now content's the easiest it's ever been to create. The good thing about that is that most of that content is just going to be pure shit. So you can still, there's a huge opportunity to kind of stand out by creating great content that your audience is going to love. I firmly believe that if you spend the time to build an audience, you will never go poor. And Facebook is a perfect example of this. So Facebook started in 2024, and it wasn't until 2012 that they actually decided to start running ads, or that's the first time they launched ads, which is really their first step into monetizing the platform. So that's like 8 years later. So they did 8 years of audience building. And guess how many users they had in 2012, Jeff? Got any guesses?
I wouldn't even know where to begin, man.
900 million. So they
Wow.
built an audience of 900
Wow.
million users. They spent 8 years doing this because they knew having that audience was that valuable. And it was so valuable that they got hundreds of millions of dollars in venture capitalist investments. And then they started to try to monetize the platform. So once they have the audience, now you can start to monetize those people. And so now Facebook is $1 trillion market cap company. Okay. So that's how powerful growing an audience is. I know that's a extreme case, but that really demonstrates how powerful building a strong audience is. And so all the gurus know this. And that's why all of them are kind of running towards content now. You've got Gary Vee, who's been doing it for a really long time. And then you've got Hormozy, and you've seen what he's been doing over the past couple of years. And then you've got Grant Cardone, who's in a totally different niche, but he's become a billionaire. And I think a lot of that is because he's just putting so much content out there and people see his face all the time. So, and for me personally, I'm not even scratching the surface of those guys. I'm trying to create more content now, but I've generated over $775,000 over the past 2.5 years. And I know those aren't crazy numbers, but I attribute all of that to my spending time growing my audience, doing all the work, putting the work in to grow my audience. And now, as I grow it more and more, I'll be able to make more and more money. Okay. So now I want to focus on creating more content. And that's one reason we're starting to do this podcast. So, anything to add in anything I just said, Joe?
One thing I would say is I know for me, I've done a lot of Facebook paid advertising, and I had a lot of success, generated a lot of revenue from it. But I don't really believe I built a true audience or a real following, and I don't know that I could have really built a business out of just using paid. I mean, what other than paid strategies? I mean, what are some of the top strategies you would recommend? Specifically for growing, a following and a real audience of value.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not saying that ads is not, you shouldn't be doing Facebook ads. I absolutely think you should. I definitely think there's a place and a time for it, and you probably need it to be at a certain revenue number, because there is a lot of testing that goes on. You're not just going to turn on ads and they're going to be working. But let's kind of give you some background to start out. So there are a few different types of entities that you can have on Facebook. There's a Facebook profile, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's just your personal profile. There's Facebook pages, and this is basically a page that functions for the most part like a profile. But, and this is pretty important, you can't send unsolicited messages from a business page. So you can't do regular outreach with a business page. So that kind of hurts you if you're going to try to grow an audience on with your business page, because you can't message those people. And that's a key part of kind of our strategy, because that's when DM outreach actually works, is when people are coming to you. But with a business page, you can run ads. So when people are starting to run ads, they're typically going to be using their Facebook page. We'll talk a bit about how you can use your profile now to run ads, and a little sneaky little strategy that I'm thinking about trying that I think will help you with growing your followers and growing your audience. And then you have Facebook groups, which we're not going to get into today because that's not part of what we're talking about. But between Facebook profiles and business pages, for the most part, especially people that are just starting out, your personal profile is going to get more organic reach than your business page. So you're typically going to be using your personal profile to grow your band. And I use my personal profile only for business. So I don't post anything personal really outside of things that I want my audience to know about me. And I'm not going to, if I go drinking with my buddies, I'm not going to be posting that on my Facebook profile. So, and you can send unsolicited messages with your profiles. That's going to help when you're building your audience and starting conversations with those people. And then you can transition those conversations to book calls and eventually clients. So now we focused on your Facebook profile. That's going to be the entity that you're going to want to focus on to grow your Facebook audience organically. And now Facebook has actually given you the ability to turn on what's called professional mode. So professional mode gives you a bunch of capabilities that you didn't have before. That's going to help you to grow your audience faster. Previously on your profile, you had a friends limit, and you still have a friends limit of 5,000 people that you can actively go out and send friend requests and add to your friends list. Now with followers, those are unlimited. You can have as many followers as you want. And so that's going to give you more reach by adding more followers. Okay. Also in professional mode, there's again no limit to those followers, and we'll be discussing that a little bit later. But you're also eligible for Facebook to actually recommend you in people's news feeds that aren't your friends. So that's basically Facebook telling you that you're going to get more reach by turning on professional mode. So I used to kind of teeter whether to turn on professional mode or not, but now I'm pretty certain that you should have professional mode on. So another cool thing, and this is not necessarily tied to what we're talking about now, but you can actually monetize now on Facebook in professional mode. So just like you can with YouTube, you can monetize your videos and the content you're putting out there. Now Facebook can monetize as well. And I've heard some things like the actual monetization piece is pretty good on Facebook. So I haven't done much of it. It's not really my focus for my business, but it's an extra way to maybe make a little bit of extra cash. Also, as I mentioned earlier, in professional mode, you can now run ads on your profile. And then we'll talk about a little bit of strategy in a second. And that's basically, so long story short, you should be using your profile to grow your audience on Facebook, and you should turn on professional mode. Okay. Any questions about that or anything to share on that, Jeff?
I mean, all I would say is I turned mine on, but it's definitely not optimized.
Okay.
I'm definitely not using it to what it could be used for. So that's why I'm pretty excited about what we're talking about, because it's absolutely something that needs to be done if I want to be serious about this.
Cool. Yeah. So another thing before you start going out and actively growing your audience on Facebook, you want to optimize what we call your profile funnel. So you want to think about your profile as a landing page. And you want to start, as we start to implement some of these Facebook audience growth strategies, people are going to start seeing your content. They're going to start seeing you active in other groups and things, and then they're going to be curious about you, and they're going to go to your Facebook page, which becomes on landing page. And with that, you want to drive people to like your core funnel. And so for us, that's our school community. And so that's where we want to drive people into, because that's where we can build relationships with those people. We can turn them into leads. We can serve them more content to nurture those leads and eventually get them on a phone call and then into our program. So if you haven't joined our school community yet, we're going to be talking about a lot of strategies like we're talking about today, but we're going to be going a little bit deeper. In fact, we're going to go real deep on this next week with our members. So if you're interested in going a little bit deeper on what we're talking about today, then be sure to join our group. And there's probably going to be a link, or if you can comment below if you want to join that, and I'll send the link over. So back to optimizing your profile. So the things that you want to focus on here is, first of all, you want to have a good picture of yourself. You don't want to have a picture of a fish or dogs or some random landscape. You want to have a picture of you, and it can be professional, it can be fun. Facebook's not as it's not as businessy as say LinkedIn, but make it somewhat professional. Okay, don't be slamming a beer or taking a shot of whiskey or smoking a joint. Also, bonus points here if you've had some big award, if you won some award like a 2 Comma Club like Jeff's got there in his background, or some kind of other award that kind of shows social proof that you are an authority in your niche. That's always good to have in your picture there. Also, your cover image, same thing with your cover image. A couple of different ways you can go here. You can build your authority by having some you speaking in front of a crowd or something like that, but overlay it with what I like to put in my cover image is one of my best lead magnets, something that I know is going to hook the attention of my target audience, and they're going to want that thing. And so in the description, I can actually link to my core funnel. Okay. So that's a little trick with the cover image. Then you've got your bio, which I think you get 101 characters in your bio. And this is what mine says, just to give you a little bit of, you can kind of think about what you want to put in yours. So how I make 10K plus every 4 to 6 weeks with AI. I think that's going to pique some curiosity. And then right below that, I have a link to join my school community. So that's mine. The other thing that you want to think about is your pinned posts. And I like, again, to use one of my best lead magnet posts there, because those are kind of the things that I'm going to see, or a person's going to see when they land on your page. And they're all kind of conversion points to get people to my core funnel. And then with your featured or your pinned posts, if you start to create content and you have one post that kind of takes off, you can pin that to your feed and then come back to that post every so often and just comment on it again. And that will start to refresh it in other people's feeds and they'll start seeing it again. So that's a little algorithm hack for you. So anything to add there, Jeff? Anything that jumped out at you about the profile optimization stuff?
I mean, the key really is be professional mode. Make sure it's optimized on my personal profile, and most importantly, like be proactive. Treat it like a landing page, and again, make it as a proactive approach, not just kind of hey, this is what I ate for dinner last night kind of thing. Use it really to, I guess, reach out to my target audience. I guess would be a good way to say it.
Yeah. Cool. You got it. So now you're ready to start growing your audience. So let's talk about that for a second. So when you're using your Facebook profile, as I said before, when you're set in professional mode, you have two types of followers or two types of audiences. You've got friends and you've got followers. So to grow your friends list, you're going to be proactively going out and sending friend requests to people that are in your ideal customer or your ideal target audience. To grow your followers, you're going to be creating content that speaks to your ideal customers. And if they enjoy it, if they find it valuable, then they're going to actually follow you, check out your profile, hopefully, and then follow you. Okay. So you need strategies for both growing your audience, your friends and your followers. So let's start by talking about growing your friends. So every single day, you should be sending a set number of friend requests based on how warm your profile is. And so that should just become start part of your daily routine that you're doing every single day. So if you're just starting out, you want to take things a little bit slower and you want to send just a few a day. Maybe it's 20 per day. Okay. And you want to spread that out throughout the day. Then you can start to slowly build it up from that. So like the next week, maybe you go to 30, and then the next week you go to 35 and 40. And eventually you're going to get to where you can send at least 50 a day. And I can send anywhere from like 50 to 75 per day. And I can keep from getting restricted from that. Anything over that, I'm really starting to get into a zone where I will start to experience restrictions from Facebook. So to keep it safe, grow that, warm it up, and then you can send friend requests anywhere from 50 to 75. And now remember, for a friends list, we're capped at 5,000 friends. So the other thing that I do each month is I trim my friends list by deleting 10% of those friends. And so these are folks on my friends list that are either deactivated, they're no longer have an active account, they are not in my target audience, or they're old acquaintances. I'm deleting those types of people. And then the other one is people that have not engaged with my posts in the past 180 days. So what I'm doing by deleting those people is I'm getting people out of there that either aren't in my target audience or aren't engaging with my content, to make room for the people in my target audience that will engage with that content. And the more they engage with my content, the more they're going to see that content. And then the more conversations they can have with those people to build that relationship and potentially turn them into clients. So any questions on that one, Jeff?
No, but I mean, so what would be the best way to find them? If you were to say this is how I'd go about finding them. What's the best way?
Yeah, so that's a good segue into the next point, which is to accelerate growth, growing your friends, your followers. You can leverage other people's audiences. And so there's a few different ways to do this. One of those is what I call the OPG method, which is other people's groups method. And so this is where you're going to go into other people's groups. You're going to add a ton of value. You're going to make valuable comments. And I'll tell you a little story. So, like I said before, we have a school community, and there's another school community inside school, which is the school games. And so that's like a competition with all the communities inside school. People post in there, they post their strategies on how they're growing their groups, how they're keeping engagement high, how they're monetizing their groups. And there's this one guy that just started posting, and I started reading his stuff, and it was super valuable. I got takeaways from it all the time. I also see him on other people's posts, would comment on those posts, and his comments were always super long and valuable. And so I had no idea who this guy was. His name's Goose Dunleavy, if you want to check him out. And so I followed him. I actually ended up joining his group. And honestly, if he probably had a good program around growing a community and the engagement high and monetizing, I'd consider buying it. And I had no idea who that guy was. So I knew all of us has probably experienced that same thing if you're active in groups. And it doesn't have to be groups. You can find people, from YouTube or any of these ways where you're just discovering them for the first time because they're adding so much value. And so that's what you can do yourself to start to build your authority, your trust in these other people's groups, is by going into these communities. You want to add valuable content. You don't have to put a call to action into it or anything like that. You're just providing value. And then as you provide value, those people are again going to go to your profile funnel. And if it's optimized to send people into your funnel, into your core funnel, then they're going to take that pathway. That is one way to do it. And also when you're in these groups, find the posts that you want to comment on that have a lot of engagement on there. Because when you actually comment on that post, everybody that also commented on that post should get a notification that somebody else commented, and then they're more likely to actually see your comments. And you can actually start to send friend requests to those people, and they're much more likely to accept your friend request now that they've seen your face. Okay, so that's one way to do it. The other way is if you are ready to start presenting live and doing like presentations for people, then creating JV partnerships with people that own their group owners or their coaches in a niche that's very complementary to you. Most of the time, your competitors are not going to want to interview you or have a JV partnership, but somebody who has a complementary product might be willing to do that. Also, the cool thing about that is you can cross promote each other's products and services, and you can potentially make an affiliate deal with those people to make a little commission. So those are kind of two ways to leverage other people's audiences. Jeff, any experience with that, or any comments on that?
It's awesome. I mean, it's brilliant. So I'm absolutely going to incorporate this.
Cool. All right. So the next thing that we want to do is the last strategy we want to use to grow your audience organically is using short form video. And on Facebook, that's called Reels. And so Reels have the most organic reach of any content format on Facebook right now. And so remember, with our Facebook profile, we've got friends and we've got followers. So friends can be proactively added, whereas followers need to find us and be attracted to us. So since Reels get the most reach, meaning they're going to more people outside of our our first party or our first network of friends, which we proactively go get, are going to see that. So more people outside of our friends list are going to see this type of content. And so it would stand to reason that we need to use that short form, those Facebook Reels, to capture the attention of those people to grow our followership. Okay. So, and then once they become your followers, now they're going to start seeing your other content in their feeds because they're following you now. And then they're more likely to engage with that content, which can you be transitioned into DM conversations. And then those DM conversations can be booked. You can book calls from those and turn them into clients. And that's when DM outreach actually starts to work, because you're creating content that speaks to your ideal customers' pain points, and they're literally raising their hand, telling you they've got a problem that you can help them solve, and they're giving you permission to reach out to them in the DMs. So that's a much warmer conversation that's much easier to transition to a booked call than just saying, "Hey, how's business going?" in the DMs, or some other stupid approach that just people are just sick of. So that's when the DM outreach actually starts to actually book calls and get results. So any questions on that, Jeffrey? Anything to add?
No, it's a great one. Again, I definitely don't like when I get those super spammy, they don't know who I am. I've never heard of them. And it's like, hey, by the way, do you want 12 new clients? It's like, I'm not even sure who you are, man. So I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned before, I want to share one final bonus tip that to grow your Facebook audience. And I've not really heard many people, if anybody, talk about this yet. And in full transparency, I've not tried this myself. I've tried it on my Facebook group, but I do want to test this out and see how it goes. So I'll report back. But my theory is that if we've got a reel or a video, or really probably any type of content, but I think more of on the video side, and it does really well organically, we could put a very small budget behind that using our profile. Now that we can do that in professional mode, we can run ads. And I'm talking like a very small budget, like $100 a month, to test whether we can actually, and my theory is we can actually grow our followers, right? The people that are not actively in our friends list, we can grow those followers faster. And then they'll start to see our organic content and they'll start to engage with more of that content. So I'm going to run this test and I'm going to see if those, first of all, will help me to grow my followers faster. So you can track all that, and see also if I can book calls or have some more conversations for those, book calls from those people, and potentially even get some clients for me. Because I haven't really heard many people, if anybody, talking about running ads from your professional profile yet. So I'm going to try that and report back. And if anybody has done that before, please let us know. I'd love to hear what your results are. Because I've done the same thing on my business page and it works great, but I've never tried it on my profile. So, and my thoughts are Facebook's giving you that ability, that capability, because they want you to use it. And typically when Facebook wants you to use something, that's a good sign or a hint that you should probably try it. And so I'm interested to see how that's going to work. Jeff, any thoughts on that?
No, I'm excited about that. I love doing like tests like that to see kind of what the results are. But I think logically it makes a ton of sense. And again,
Yep.
Facebook wants to keep us on their platform. So I think anything that promotes staying on the platform is a positive thing. So
Yep. So the next thing with audience growth is really where content comes into play. And content's a little bit out of the scope of what I wanted to talk today, but we're going to do a part two on this where we'll go deep on content. I do have a training in the meantime inside of our school community where I share what I believe is probably the easiest way to get started creating client getting content on Facebook. And so if you want that training, then join our community, send me a DM, and I'll actually send you the link to that directly to that training so you can check that out. Any last thoughts before we sum things up, Jeff? What's your biggest takeaways from today?
well, I mean, I think ultimately it comes down to having a plan and being proactive, treating it, in a way that is always focused on, thinking about my perfect client and, how do I attract them in and again, providing value first. So a lot of great takeaways.
Awesome. Cool. So, in conclusion, let's sum things up for them. So, there are two approaches to making money on Facebook organically. So, you've got cold outreach, you've got, or just outbound, and then you've got inbound, which is attracting your clients to you. Cold outreach is dead, in my opinion. So, that leaves us with inbound approach. And so, to do this, we want to start to grow your audience on using your profile, your Facebook profile. And I think it's beneficial to turn professional mode on your Facebook profile because it gives you some capabilities that you don't have outside of being in professional mode that's going to help you to grow your audience. It's going to give you more reach, gives you the ability to run ads, some other cool things that can help you. Then we discussed the two different types of Facebook audiences. You've got friends, which you can proactively go out and get, and then you've got followers which you need to attract to you. And so one of the ways to grow your friends list is just going out and simply sending friend requests. You can accelerate that process by leveraging other people's audiences, both being active in other people's Facebook groups, but also setting up JV partnerships with people that have complementing products and services. And then the last piece is, well, two pieces. So then if you want to grow your followers, you're going to attract those people to you. And the best way to do that right now is by creating reels, because reels is going to get you more reach than anything outside of your friends list. So if you want to grow your followers list, I would start to be doing reels. You can take it slow, and we've got a actually pretty cool strategy on how to create more of those types of reels. If you want to check out my YouTube channel, we've got a video on there that shows you how to do that. And then I shared you a bonus tip of how I'm going to test out some ads on professional mode to grow my followers. When I get a video or a reel that does really well, I'm going to put some money behind that and see if I can grow my followers even faster. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see y'all in the next one.